Alright, we're finishing off the rest of this matchups with the low and mid tiers. Last time we left off with Doc, and we're going to finish off the rest of this tier list, giving my quick thoughts on each of these matchups and where they end up. So, for Ganondorf, I think this is very Marth favored because of the punish game aspect of this matchup, where Marth can very easily edgeguard and tech chase Ganon. Ganon does hit hard, but because I think Marth hits like 20 times harder, it's quite simple for him. I also think if Marth simply spaces a snare and creates stalemates with Fair if Ganon's above him. Ganon can't really touch Marth all that often. He has to super outplay Marth in order to hit him. So kind of like he suffers the same flaw of Luigi where he just dies really easily. So that's why I think it's pretty super favored because it's super simple for Marth to kill him. Next up is Mario. This is basically Doc, but a little easier. So the difference between these two matchups is that Mario has a harder time killing than Doc because Mario doesn't have as easy of a confirm like down throw fair or cape and stuff like that. But what Mario makes up is that he has slightly better range and recovery, such as his F Smash has like a nasty call out. Like, if I'm walling a little bit too lazily, you could just F Smash my Nair in place or my Fair in place and I just die. Or, if I try to edge guard on Yoshi's, even if I were to call him out, he could do that double up B wall jump thing on Yoshi's, so he has a little bit more survivability. So it's not that like for the most part, I do think Doc has a better matchup than Mario, but it's a neutral is a little harder versus Mario because of the extra range he has. But he does kind of lack kill power, but so much harder to kill him because of his better recovery. So I think it kind of evens out. So I mean, since it's a lot harder to kill Mario, I'd rather face like a Luigi or a Ganondorf in bracket because of that. All right, DK. I think it's somewhere around here. Um, a lot of people think DK is kind of like the Marth killer, which is fair because it's not straightforward to kill DK. Even though I don't think he has as good of a recovery as Mario, I think his recovery is like on par with Doc at least. It's because he gets sweet spot of his up B, juggling him is really annoying. And if you lunge too much, DK's reversals are really nasty. Like, he has up throw, up air, and fairs, and charge punch that can really kill Marth if I don't know what I'm doing. However, DK's neutral, if his back is towards you, he's like he's here. But if you're facing in front of him or you're directly below DK, oh, he's really bad. He's like up here. And DK doesn't really have answers if you are in front of him versus you're directly below him. Because, DK has a really late dare, he has a really late fair, so therefore he can't really protect himself in front of him. So typically you don't want to really engage DK behind him. And even if you do engage DK behind him, like, usually the best he's got is like bear up B, and like you can just keep shielding, and you still have mix-ups even though DK is behind you. So it's not even an unplayable position, but there's just a lot of spots where DK is really bad. And as long as you don't overextend, you don't get reversal too often, this matchup is quite fine for Marth. Young Link. I'd say it's pretty favored for Marth because while Young Link is nimble, he's fast, that's not really helping him versus Marth because he is lacking a lot in range. And his recovery is not as good as his counterpart because his hook shot's a lot lower. His up B could be very easily countered, and I don't think like the bomb recovery works as well with Young Link, if I recall correctly. At least I don't really see them do that versus me. It just feels like Marth heavily outranges Young Link, and Young Link's strengths of like being the floaty killer doesn't really apply all too well for Marth. As long as you shield way dash, you swat away his projectiles. This matchup is quite fine, honestly. Just wall him out. Know your edge guard setups. Young Link has to recover really close to the wall if he's gonna hook shot, even then you could like swan him out on reaction all the times, and you could counter his up B. So yeah, it's a fine matchup from Marth. And as for Link, I'd say I put it around here. Um, Link is a very annoying matchup for Marth, where he's not as mobile, but that doesn't matter because Link has slightly better range, so I have to space myself a little bit better. And he has a slightly better recovery than young Link because like he has more range of his tether. Um, and you know that could make the difference in a lot of spots, and so therefore he's a little bit more annoying to kill. And because I have to like respect his range a little bit more, he has a little bit more kill power in some of his moves. It's really annoying to fight him. It's not too much different from Young Link, from all honesty. I just view it as slightly more annoying of a matchup because it's just harder to kill him, and I need to win a little bit more neutral. But aside from that, it's totally a fine matchup as long as you're shield wave dashing, you're swatting his projectiles, and you just space yourself well because you still do outrange Link. Moving right along, we have Game & Watch, and I put Game & Watch roughly around here. I am tempted to say that it's super favored, but Game & Watch does have some nasty tools to just kill Marth, his fairs, his great edge guards, and down throw confirms. Game & Watch has some stuff, and you know, the occasional nines, which are really annoying. You probably get clipped, but yeah, it's definitely a scary matchup if you don't know what you're doing. However, Game & Watch does suffer some flaws, like especially with his neutral, like stuff like his down tilt and fair is actually not safe a lot of times. Like you could just shield it, and as long as it's not like not super space for them, it's fine. Like you could shield grab a lot of his like space fair and down tilt, if not fair out of shield or near out of shield. So when you're shielding, at first it seems like Game and Watch is dictating the pace of the game, but then it's actually you because Game and Watch's moves are not safe on shield a lot of times. And besides, while Marth's fair and down tilt may not necessarily outreach Game and Watch's disjoint, his S smash does. So sometimes you could hard call him out, especially like when he fairs some ledge. You could just hard call him out with an S smash, and he just insta dies. And speaking of Game & Watch insta dying, like he has a pretty exploitable recovery given that you pay attention to him. Like you have to pay attention how low he dips so that you could determine whether or not to dare on stage or just grab the ledge. And he also has like the same weight as Puff and Mewtwo, so that you could just pivot S smash him sometimes. He also has like you have viable up throw confirms on him as well. So and he like dies at like 80 from up tilt. So um Game & Watch is relatively vulnerable. He does have like a decent recovery at the same time, and like reversals do happen a lot. But just as long as you're looking out for that, you are using shield liberally, and you use S smash at the right spacings. This matchup should not be any problem. Mewtwo, I put it roughly around here, where Mewtwo uh is pretty annoying of a matchup where you have to constantly outrange him, you have to constantly swat him out, and you can't really edge guard him because his recovery, he has a really big double jump, he has a really hard to telegraph up B, and like the only way you're killing him is just swatting him out, up bearing him, up tilting him, fairing him to like 200, or you just catch him, like you like hard read one of his recoveries to the ledge and you could kill him occasionally a little bit early. But basically what really exemplifies this matchup is PPU versus Zoma at SmashCon, where literally all PPU did was just like zone him out with like swat you away, because while Mewtwo does has range, it's not a disjoint. Whereas Marth is a disjoint, so Marth does get to just permanently outwall Mewtwo. Sometimes Mewtwo could find his way in by, you know, doing a Shadow Ball cheese and then approaching down tilt. But if you just full up over it, swat over it, or like, you know, fair right through the Shadow Ball and hitting his approach, hell, maybe even just like roll in or something. Like, it's just cheese, frankly. And that's not really a viable way of Mewtwo getting in. Marth solely wins is just annoying. It's kind of like the Peach. It's basically a lesser Peach matchup where like you're not gonna get too many kill confirms, but you do outrange him. So eventually you will find the kill. So next one is Roy. Oh yeah, this is. I'm gonna put this right here because it does seem like Roy is pretty bad in a lot of ways, but he still has like annoying tools. Like he still has Marth's dash back. He still has his pretty good grab, and actually his recovery is deceptively pretty good. Like, cause it's kind of like the Mario Bros. Recovery, where instead of it being just one hitbox, temporary hitbox like Marth's up B, his up B is more like the Mario Brothers, where it's a constant hitbox, so you're not going to edge guard in the same way. And in some respects, you have to really respect certain recovery zones, and it's not as easy to just down tilt him like you would at a Ditto. So there's some spots where like you kind of just have to give Roy a ledge, but in every other and like his down tilt is very good at just screwing you up. If he lands a down tilt, then like you get launched up and could potentially suffer quite a bit. Down to S smash, for example. But that's not to Roy does have some tools, but overall he is definitely outshadowed by how how bad his moves are, how badly he deals with CC and platforms, and also him being a fast faller means that like you could just up throw up tilt him a lot, and that could mean really badly for Roy. And overall, like while he might be annoying to edge guard, like if you launch him far enough off stage, he's pretty dead. Um, so basically, it's not too different from the Marth Ditto in all honesty. It's just that you're gonna have to respect like you a lot of people make the mistake of thinking Roy's not a character as opposed to viewing him as a lesser Marth. Um, I think it's much more straightforward to view him as like, okay, he still has Marth, he still has down tilt and dash back, and I have to pay attention what he does when he whiffs a move because like he's still a character when he has down tilt and dash back. It's just like once you kind of get past that part, he's no longer a character, and you get more chances when Roy hits you because he doesn't have hitboxes in some of his moves. So that's why I view it as 6-4 as opposed to like super favored. He's still a character that you do need to respect a little. All right, Pichu. Um, I'd say probably around here. Pichu, it's someone where the reason why Pikachu is such a troublesome matchup for Marth is because of his punish game, his edge guards. Pichu kind of doesn't really have that anymore. Like for instance, Nair up smash thunder isn't really a thing for Pichu. While Pichu still has some edge guard stuff, like he can't go as far out there because his recovery is a little worse for one, not as precise, and he's also smaller, so Pichu doesn't can't really kill as easily. Still has a pretty powerful up smash. Has a really good ass nair. Still really fast. It's just that it feels easier to react to Pichu's approaches because for whatever reason, it just feels like much more obvious given Pichu's frame data for whatever reason. Like it feels much easier to wall off Pichu, and since Pichu's really light, it feels much more reasonable to just kill him anytime. And since he has worse recovery, it's much easier to edge guard him. Uh, and yeah, the only thing I feel bad about this matchup is it just feels like I'm beating up a kid, and it's like, oh, that feels bad. Ness, obviously super favorite from Marth. I mean, like Ness has some weird things. God forbid if he ever gets a yo-yo glitch on you, but a lot of his stuff is very clearly gimmicks. Like his side B isn't just shield it. A lot of his stuff could be very easily CC'd. He has some niche double jump cancel stuff to like get out moves a little faster, but it's whatever. Sometimes his double jump could trip you up, but yeah, Ness is really easy to recover, like to edge guard, because when he up Bs, you have to just, like sit there, and that's just asking to get dared or up B'd or even grab the ledge. So every time he's off stage, especially without double jump, he's dead. And also, Ness can't sweet spot his double jump to the ledge, so you can usually always down tilt him. And CC is a big problem for Ness. Shielding is also a big problem. It just feels like Ness can't really get in unless like he does like a weird double jump high angle, which just wait out. At best, it's at worst from Marth, that's a stalemate. At best, you get a hit. So as long as you like don't get weirded out by some of Ness's gimmicks, this should be a fine matchup for Marth. Zelda, okay. When Zelda is transformed at like 140 and last talk, last hit situation, it feels like an even matchup because one kick could mean that you're just dead. And you're typically fighting against like a top player or a player that's like more of your skill level, so it feels very even. They know your habits from like throughout the set. But let's get this real. If it's just you're just fighting a pure Zelda main, yeah, this matchup is super favored for you. Like the funny thing is that you could crouch and Rising Aerial, Rising Fair and Bear will not hit you as Marth. And then you could like shield the falling Fair on reaction. That's like if you want to even abuse that. Like, you could just dash dance around, just juggle her. She does have a good recovery, but like she's just like a far worse version of Peach and Mewtwo. Because while those characters, like at least Peach and Mewtwo are somewhat nimble, Zelda is not nimble at all. Like the moment she whiffs, all she has is just like Rising Fair or Bear, which Marth has so many tools to avoid that, and then you kind of just swat her until she kind of poops out. And the only time this matchup becomes really troublesome is when she decides to down B, and then it comes back to here. Yeah, so let's get to Bowser or Kirby. Let's start with Kirby. Very clearly a good matchup from Marth. Don't be swayed by some VODs that you may see from a certain red Marth. Kirby does some annoying stuff. He could roll an up tilt. He has some edge guards, but just as long as you control your space with down tilt fair, you could edge guard Kirby. Like he can't double jump sweet spot to ledge similar to Puff. You could edge guard his up B by timing a dare or even a counter maybe, I think, but like you could usually dare it or grab the ledge. So it's not like Kirby even has like that recovery edge versus Marth if you play it right. Basically don't get provoked. Like always look out for the roll in up tilt and like dare to roll in. You could call out Kirby pretty easily in the air. It's basically a lesser version of the Puff matchup in like every way possible. So I guess if you struggle versus Puff, this matchup might seem a little hard, but if you don't, Kirby is very much fine. Yeah, Bowser, very straightforward matchup, just very big hitbox, use your sword, Respect, get up attack from the ledge, don't aerial him when he's shielding, like don't be within his up B out shield range, just space your sword, swat him away, and like you can down tilt his up B. It's quite simple of a matchup. Just don't overextend, don't get reversaled, edge guard and juggle whenever you can. This character can't hit you unless you let him, and it should be a pretty fair matchup. Not much more to say. I guess the only way to make this matchup losable is if you interact with him at the ledge and he somehow Bowser-sides you or something. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for my matchup chart. Let me know what you think of in the comments, what you agree and disagree with about my overall thoughts, at me on Twitter or Discord. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the series. This is my 2021 Marth matchup chart, and please like and subscribe. I'll see y'all around.